What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another Marvel Future Fight video. Alright, so in this one here, we're going to be taking a look at Dormammu with his new uniform and his new Tier 3. We are still on the APK here, so with that comes the standard disclaimer that everything you see here is still subject to change, so you can see some changes from now until the live version, so keep that in mind. This video is brought to you by Netmarble and the Content Creator Club. So let's go ahead and take a look at Dormammu here with his new look. So we have his Damnation uniform. So let's see what the uniform is going to do for him. So the uniform bonus is going to change the effects of skill Dread 1, which I believe is his leadership. And then we have a increase to skill damage by 40% and bonus damage by 30%. So it's getting a little bit of a damage boost there. And his change to the leadership makes him the opposite of She-Hulk. So we finally have a leadership that pertains only to superheroes. So he increases damage dealt to superheroes, and I believe it was... It's not going to list it here, I have to back out, but I think it was 60%. So he has a 60% leadership for damage against superheroes. So not a whole lot of places we can use that right now. It might actually be really good in PvP, because there's a lot of heroes in there, but there's still quite a few villains that are good in PvP. If we get more relevant kind of world bosses with heroes, because right now not many play the X-Men are the mutant world bosses right there. So yeah, I mean, it could be good, of course, if you're trying to push to a high stage there. But anyway, that's his new leadership. So let's take a look at the skills here. We have 5 skill changes. First skill right here, we have some bleed and stun. Second skill, we have some fire resistance down, stacks up to minus 60%, ignores immunity, so that's really good. Third skill, we have paralysis for 2 seconds, it ignores immunity, which is good. And we have some damage immunity for 4 seconds. The fourth skill here, we have some more fire resist down, again minus 60%, so to help you stack it up really quickly since he has 2 skills that'll be contributing. And then we have reflect 40% of damage received up to 50% of max attack. I believe that's the same. It might be a little better than before, but I think that's the same as what his third skill was giving him before. The fifth skill right here, we have some all defense down this time. That stacks up to minus 50%. So he has both elemental resist down and all defense down. So that's going to be really, really strong for world boss ultimates. So that's going to be yeah, helping out his damage quite a bit there. And then we have an 80% chance to penetrate fire immunity. Gosh, keep reading the words out of order there. So that'll be really good against those pesky characters that have either fire immunity, or I don't think it actually penetrates any like fire resistance. So I think if you have like 100% fire resistance, you're still going to be taking very little damage. So I'm not sure if this will really help against Jean, but you know, we can dream. And then he has increased all attack, all defense by 45%, all speed 10%, and crit rate by 45%, which is really nice. So you're not going to have to worry too much about capping his crit rate since he has it on the 5th skill there. And then one thing that we want to look at, of course, is the cooldown times. The first skill, we have 9 seconds, 10 seconds, 11 seconds, 16, and 16. So a little bit long for a standard damage proc there with the 16-second cooldown, because you're going to have a second and a half of, just a second. You're going to have a second of downtime because your proc is every 7 seconds, and this is going to be activated every 8 seconds. And we know that can kind of mess up rotations quite a bit, but from the little bit of testing I've done, he seems okay with a damage proc in terms of the consistency with his skill rotation. So let's go ahead and take a look at the skills here, then I'll show you what I think is a good skill rotation for him, and then we'll take him into some World Boss Ultimate and see what kind of damage he's doing here. So his first skill, he just kind of summons some dark energy there that pierces them from the ground, so that looks pretty cool. No iframe or anything like that. It is pretty short animation, so you might be able to get away with using this, but you're going to be open to attacks for that. And one thing that didn't change, as you can see, is his movement speed. It is still pretty slow. Actually, it might be a little bit quicker, because I feel like Dormammu used to move like a slug. Now, actually, I think he's moving a little bit quicker, but he's still pretty slow. Anyway, let's go ahead to the second skill. So he slashes there with his sword, and then boom, we get that explosion of like hellfire that comes out of the ground. Really cool. And it is, of course, that explosion right there at the end that applies all of the fire resistance down. And then the third skill pretty much just summons a planet right there, and then it just keeps hitting the enemy, does a little bit of damage there, and then explodes. And the explosion is what causes the paralysis. So you're not going to get that paralysis at the very start of the skill, so that can hurt a little bit when you're trying to like crowd control a boss or something like that, because most of the time you're going to want to control them right when you use the skill, and you're not going to have to, you know, want to wait for that delayed reaction right there, because then it's really hard to line it up or time it with some of your other skills, like either your iframes or with the damage proc, because maybe you're procking on a skill that's not an iframe, so you want the boss to be paralyzed so you can actually do some damage and not have them move out of the way, or iframe or something like that. Anyway, let's move on to the fourth skill. So fourth skill gets an iframe at the start. The iframe does go away, gets kind of bubble around him right there, jumps up in the air, and then we have an explosion on the ground there. The explosion on the ground with that hellfire does add some to the fire resistance down, but the daggers that he summons right here also do, or the swords, I'm sorry. So the swords that are flying around right there are going to be applying the fire resist down. So that means you can cancel this skill and still get the benefits from it. And then finally, the fifth skill with his massive buff and also the all defense down. Let's take a look at that. Grows really big and just breathes fire all over the place. So a pretty cool looking skill. It reminds me of Scarecrow from the Arkham Knight series, if you remember that fight with Scarecrow when he gets really big, when Batman's having that nightmare. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Mainly it's just, I guess, from the portrait, maybe his outfit looks a little bit similar to Scarecrow's, but anyway, it's still a cool looking skill. And then we have that residual fire damage, which is actually pretty nice as well. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention is the fourth skill actually has ignore iframe. Yeah, there we go. Enable attacking enemies who have activated ignore targeting. So the fourth skill will ignore iframes. So that will make that a very strong skill for PvP, because as you can see, it does do quite a bit of damage. You start off with that iframe, so that can actually knock one of the opponents out of their current iframe that you're going to be interrupting there, and then you get that extra damage. So really nice skill. And now the tier 3 skill, we can go ahead and take a look at that. Goes into an iframe, and then again, all of those kind of dark energy crystals just spouting out from the ground and just wreaking havoc on the battlefield there. Then we have that explosion of kind of flames there at the end. And if we want to turn on our animations here, we can actually see what the animation looks like for the tier. Oh, we got to build up the tier 3. The fifth skill has an animation as well, so let's go ahead and look at that. Boom. So you get the kind of, yeah, that's more of the view that reminds me of the Scarecrow fight, because he's always hitting down on the ground and stuff like that when Batman's running through the area. So you have to do all that kind of like parkour and hide from him, and Scarecrow's like looking down for him. You see the beams of light, so really, really cool. And now let's get that tier 3 going. All right, so here we go. Yeah, that's what it is. So he gets really big and just corrupts like the whole planet or something like that. That's really cool looking. Oh, he's got some fear on there as well. Oh, and the skill rotation, because I did forget to mention that. So the skill rotation that I think that'll work for him is you do the fourth skill. You wait for kind of a little bit of the explosion for the daggers to appear. You cancel into the second skill, wait for him to slash the sword on the ground, and then you cancel into the third skill, wait for kind of like the little auras around him that looks like he's getting beamed up into the mothership, and then you hop into the fifth skill for your damage proc. So it should look a little something like this. Boom, 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 and go into the fifth skill. And of course we have that SFX on, so can't really see it too well. But that's the rotation that I've been trying to use for him, because then you get all of the benefits. You get the fire resist down, you get the all defense down, you get the buffs, and all of it will be active during the damage proc. So I don't know. Let's see. So boom, 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 and there we go. But of course, you can see there are a few hits before you actually get into the fifth skill that will trigger your damage proc. And of course, if you have a little bit of some bad RNG, then your damage proc can get off of rotation very quickly, especially since you have that 1 second gap between the damage proc coming back and the fifth skill being off of cooldown. So do keep that in mind. But from my limited play with him so far, it seems like it works pretty well with the damage proc, so you could probably get away with that. But I did notice that he does need, or I shouldn't really say need, but he gets a big benefit from having guard break immunity, because he was getting guard broken a lot when I was just using a CTP of energy. So that was one thing that was really bugging me. It kept interrupting my skills. I couldn't get a full rotation off, so I'd be going like this, oh, get knocked out of it, oh, get knocked out of it, and then finally get into the 5th skill. So I wouldn't be getting all of the benefits from like the 4th or the 2nd skill, and sometimes not even have the planet summon on the 3rd skill because I get knocked out of it. So a few things like that, but overall it was working pretty well. And then for the tier 3 skill, I generally just do the 4-2 and then go into the tier 3, and that seemed to have been working pretty good. Going to be missing out on the all defense down, so if you want to kind of modify that rotation to somehow include the 5th skill, but then you're going to have to do one rotation where you misalign your damage proc, because the tier 3 does hit really hard, so it's going to be a skill that you want to proc on. Alright, so let's back out here, go back to the character. Alright, so never mind, we've got to go all the way back. Let's grab Dormammu here. So right now I just have the CTP of Destruction on because of that guard break immunity, because I was seeing if that really was going to help him out a lot, and it does. For the skills here, let's go ahead and take a look at his leadership. What was it? Yeah, it was 60%. Oh, it only works for super villains, for villain allies. So you do have to be a villain to take advantage of his leadership. So that's a little bit different than She-Hulk, because She-Hulk was just for everyone. But yeah, so villain allies increase damage to superhero types. His passive was still the revive. His tier 2 passive hasn't changed either, so he does that healing. And then the tier 3. So the tier 3 decreases speed, has some burn, stun, fear, silence, incapacitation. We have ignore dodge by 100%, which is actually really good because his tier 3 does ignore iframe. So you can use the tier 3 to pretty much one-shot anyone if you're in PvP, you know, if you build up to it, because it will ignore iframe, so that's really strong. Then he has 9 seconds of invincibility and a 60% increase to all attack. So overall, a very powerful tier 3 skill, so definitely liking that. And you know, I didn't go over the uniform options, so let's hop over to that. I keep forgetting about those. All right, so this uniform option is going to be first Crossbones Secret Empire, Jean Grey X-Men Red, Invisible Woman Future Foundation, Cable and Deadpool, and then Red Guardian, Marvel's Black Widow. So those are going to be your uniform options there for Dormammu. And now, last thing to show before we hop into some of the gameplay is going to be his tier 3 rank up animation, because I have actually not seen this yet. So I'm curious to see what it is. So let's go ahead and tap the little icon and see what it looks like. Really cool. All right, so it's pretty much just like his tier 3 animation, just a little bit different. So yeah, just showing how massive he is, and he's just taking over the world right there, just corrupting it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so Dormammu's looking really cool. I like the uniform, I like the skills. So now let's just see what the damage is like. So first I'm going to keep this CTP of Destruction on, and then we can probably just move over to a CTP of Rage to see how much damage, and you can just assume that a CTP of Energy will be in between the two. So yeah, let's just go ahead and hop into some World Boss Ultimate. Alright, here we are at World Boss Ultimate. We're going to be using the standard kind of flame team right here. Got to increase fire damage, and then we have Ghost Rider for his passive. So yeah, Dormammu is going to be getting a really sizable boost here, and we're just going to be going against Call Obsidian here, because we all know that fire or elemental damage dealers, when they're energy based attacks, do very well against Ebony, so I have no doubt that he's going to do very high stages for Ebony. So I figured I'd show him off at Call Obsidian here. And we're doing a stage 50 with no strikers. So we're going to switch over to him, and we'll see how much the oh, we still got interrupt there, but that was because he did his little micro iframe that I really hate. And then we wait for 2 seconds on the 5th skill, and then yeah, we're a little off on damage proc here, but you wait for 2 seconds on the countdown for the 5th skill, and then you can start doing the rotation again, and you will be set to proc. So there we go, we did get the damage proc there, but he is cleansing, so keep that in mind. He didn't have any of the resistances down right there for that particular 5th skill. There we go, we have some resistances down, and now we should see some pretty... Oh, never mind, he teleported away. He does more damage than this if Call Obsidian would ever cooperate and like hold still for a second here. There we go, so now you can see he does some pretty good damage. And then let's just do this, do that, and then hop into the tier 3. If we ever get our proc, there it is. And as you can see, the tier 3 skill was hitting quite hard, and that was with only half of the skill having the damage proc on it, because for some reason the proc does not want to cooperate. All right, here we go, here we go. Okay, we're still getting interrupted, but that is from the iframes, not from getting guard broken. All right. And this is probably not the best skill rotation to keep him alive, because you might want to be using the third skill a little bit sooner, because the third skill gives you the damage immunity. Ooh, there we go, that's some good damage. So you might want to be trying to play around that a little bit more, but oh, we procced just a little too early there, or else that would have been perfect for the tier 3. So that's a tier 3 without a damage proc. So maybe something like this would be a little bit better. Have that damage immunity up a little bit longer. So go boom, boom. Oh, never mind. I was going to try 4, 3, 2, and then 5. Just to see if that helps to prevent him from getting hit a little bit. But luckily he's got that heal, which really helps to keep him alive. Alright, Cold Obsidian. Maybe guard break immunity is not doing anything for him against Cold Obsidian here. Cold Obsidian is very annoying to fight, so, or very annoying to not get guard broken by. That's for sure. Alright, so let's do this, let's do that. Let's get guard broken, but that was from a purple attack. So you know what? Maybe 4, 3, 2, and then into 5 might be a little bit better, because then you get that damage immunity. So, yeah. Either way, you can see he's doing pretty well here. I mean, no strikers. We definitely would have taken this down a lot quicker if we were actually landing some more damage procs consistently with the skill rotation. So let's go ahead and try the... Should I just try the CTP of Energy? The CTP of Energy is kind of similar to what you saw right there. I was still getting guard broken a little bit more than what you saw, but the damage was actually still quite a bit higher despite getting guard broken. So yeah, with the CTP of Energy, because he does have a lot of hits, you're canceling a lot of skills. CTP of Energy makes him hit really, really hard, as long as you're, of course, lining up with the 5th skill. So now I'm curious to see what he does with a CTP of Rage. I have not tried this yet, so you'll be seeing it for the first time with me. So let's go ahead and swap out to a CTP of Rage. Alright, so now we have a CTP of Rage equipped. We are going to have max crit rates because of his 5th skill buff. Our dodge is sitting at 61, almost 62%, so a little bit more can be got from the dodge, but overall it's a pretty close to cap, so he should be hitting really hard with this CTP of Rage here. Or it should be close to what a maxed out CTP of Rage will do. So we'll just do that, we'll just do this, and let's see what we can do. Not starting off too hot there. And we got time frozen. Fantastic. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. But so far, not noticeably better than the destruction. Oh, he is cleansing right now. You know what? Let's just go into the tier 3. What's the tier 3 going to do? He only has fire resist down. It wasn't stacked up too much, but overall, I'm not super impressed yet with the damage on the Rage. We might just be kind of missing the, of course, the timing there, so we're not hitting or not activating when we have the all defense down and the fire resist stacked up very high, so that is definitely a possibility. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. Ooh, yeah, that's looking a lot better. Okay, there we go. When we got those resistances stacked up and then we activated the Rage, we were seeing some pretty good damage. Okay, so he's definitely hitting harder, but it's not as much better. As much, that's not really a good way to say that, but it's not as good as I thought it was going to be. I thought the Rage was going to be hitting a lot harder than I'm seeing right here. Let's go into that just to use that iframe to our advantage. Reflect a little bit of damage there, apparently. Alright, so here we go. Let's get that all defense down. Alright, what do we got here? Activate Rage. Activate! Or not. Activate. Okay, so yeah, not significantly better. And again, we have max crit rates and 62 or 61% dodge. So I would expect them to be hitting harder than this. The CTP of Energy, I think, was outperforming this. So you know what? I'm going to equip a CTP of Energy just to double check, but right now I'm not super impressed with the CTP of Rage. It looked like Destruction was actually doing just as good. So yeah, let's go ahead and switch over to a CTP of Energy. Alright, so now we're loading in with the CTP of Energy, and all of these have been maxed, by the way. The CTP of Energy here is a 200% proc, the CTP of Destruction was a 200% proc, and the CTP of Rage was at 0.9, so it was a max roll for the Rage. So yeah, let's see what the CTP of Energy does, or CTP of Energy does. Alright, so let's hop over. So I kind of like using the third skill after the fourth skill now for that damage immunity. It seems to actually be helping out. Ooh, there we go. Alright, yeah, I'm just kind of throwing the skills all over the place right now. As long as I do 4, 2, and 3 before I proc, I'm happy. Alright, so tier 3 skill. Yeah, so to me, it looks like he's doing more damage with the CTP of Energy. Maybe I'm just blind here and not realizing it, but it looks like the bar is moving more. It looks like we're doing more damage with this CTP of Energy, but again, it's not like I was keeping track of the time up there, so I don't know for sure, but it definitely seems like he's doing better with the CTP of Energy here than he did with the Rage, and of course doing better than with the Destruction. Now, look at that damage. The damage just looks so much better. Yeah, so you know what? I really like Dormammu with a CTP of Energy on him. It seems to actually be outperforming Rage, but again, I didn't have the stats completely maxed. Crit rate was dodge. I still had, what, another 14% that I could get for dodge. I'm not sure how much of a difference that's going to make, but yeah, I mean, it looks like you don't need a Rage for Dormammu here. His skill rotation can get a little tight, and as you saw, you can get off of rotation kind of easily, but once you start, you know, flowing with it, it seems like it sticks pretty good. So once you start hitting the damage proc, it usually stays pretty consistent after that, but once you miss it, then it stays very consistently off after that. So yeah, overall, I'm really liking Dormammu here. He seems like he has some pretty good damage. He looks like he has a good kit that will actually work out well in PvP because he has the Ignore iframe. He's got damage reflect. He's got what has he got? He's got iframes as well. So yeah, he's got quite a bit that can help him out. He's got lingering kind of damage, like when he summons the planets, the swords that fly around, the explosions of like the hellfire on the ground, so that can be good for PvP. So yeah, he's got quite a bit going for him. And he's got the revive. Yeah, I'm liking Dormammu here with this uniform. Again, my only complaint right now is probably the movement speed. I would have liked a little bit more movement speed. It does get guard broken quite easily, but you know, you can't have everything. So yeah, overall, Dormammu looking pretty good. Let me know what you think of Dormammu here. Are you excited? Are you going to rank him up if you haven't already built up Dormammu? If you have him built up, are you planning on getting this uniform and then getting him to tier 3? So yeah, let me know, because I'm pretty sure that I will be getting Dormammu to tier 3, because I am torn right now because Silver Surfer was supposed to be my next tier 3, but I'm thinking it's going to be Dormammu instead. Yeah, anyway, that's going to be it for this video here. Hopefully you enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.